Hello, welcome to Toffee TV. It is the final week, Crystal Palace 0, Everton 0, FA Cup third round tie. Nothing to talk about, no controversial decisions. And we get to do it all over again on the 17th of January, I think it is. Yippee. Joined by Jack in the studio for this one. Get to do it again, Jack, still in the FA Cup. And hopefully we'll use the home advantage to get through.
Yeah, I'd love to say I can't wait, but I very much can. It was a very dull game, and you'd be right, there'd be absolutely nothing to talk about if we hadn't been dealt a fair load of controversy towards the end as well, because outside of that, it was a rather uneventful game. I know you said we've seen worse this season, but
much worse.
I struggle to think of much worse, to be honest, because it was a game without much going on, which, you know, in a league game you'll take. With the FA Cup, you know, you've got the replays and you're thinking, look, can one of us just score a goal here? And we know then.
Luton at home for me was about 100 times worse than a game of football.
Anger-inducing, no. At least that made me feel something.
And terrible. I've heard this from a few different... I must just be... Maybe I watched a different game. I actually sat there and thought, this is all right for a 0-0. Thought both teams... Don't get me wrong, it wasn't amazing, but I just thought it was all right. I thought both teams, particularly us, were in control. Both teams tried to win it. I don't know, I thought it was okay. Ped, I mean,
it was drab.
Okay, that's fine.
No, it was a drab game. It was a very drab game. It was really boring. Like there wasn't that much. There wasn't that much box activity, I would say. It was in spells. We had a spell in the first half where we did all right, and then they had a little spell before half time. But it was a bit of a drab game, wasn't it? It wasn't like free flowing. Both teams, you looked at them and you could see both of them were like, maybe this isn't really where we want to be. It just felt like that. I thought we were in utter control. Don't get me wrong. I just think when you actually think about how many saves their goalie had to make, it was like one, wasn't it? And ours has had to make one towards the end. So it was a bit, you know. And again, it's the third round. It's the magic of the cup. It's all that, and it was just the two teams that were a bit like, it's not where we want to be. So, yeah, I mean, it's not.
I mean, Brighton at home was far more.
No, you can have more other games, of course you can.
But we were at least defending a lead there as well.
But that's just a mental position of going. We had something to cling on to, so the game was acceptable as a football game. That Brighton game was horrific. It was dreadful, no quality from either side. Everton scored a goal, they got a lucky equaliser. It was garbage, everything in between. I didn't feel like that last night, but listen, that is what it is, isn't it? Obviously, the manager made a big call with Jordan Pickford being left out. I think it was a good decision, by the way. I think he needed a little break and being not in great form the last few games. Obviously, we went, seen Seamus Coleman come in, 412th appearance. I thought he was excellent. And then we had the chance for Arnaud Danjuma to come in. And I actually thought in the first half an hour was some of his best work in an Everton shirt. He looked quite lively and bright. And I thought Everton settled into the game quite quickly early on. I thought we got hold of it quite well. Onana, midfield was excellent.
Yeah, I thought we were the better out of the two teams, especially Danjuma on the left as well. That's his natural position, isn't it? With McNeil holding that spot down, he's not had many opportunities to play there. He's not had many opportunities at all. And Onana having that strong performance that I think he needed after the last few weeks. Yeah. Good for him to just get back on track and have that a quiet control in midfield, not doing anything outrageous, but just doing everything he needs to do. And yeah, a special word for Virginia as well, because it did get a little bit lost because of the controversy in the game and became the talking points. But he came in and he did what he needed to do. He did what was asked of him. And Jordan Pickford the last few years has been a very good goalkeeper for Everton. But in that time, he's mostly had a number two that could conceivably come in if needed, if Pickford was in bad form. You know, obviously we had Olsen, who was swapped with him on occasion, and Begovic with his Premier League experience. Now it's Virginia. It's good to know that he can come in against the Premier League sides and not slip up and do what's asked of him. And I thought he did what he needed to do.
Yeah, I actually give him man of the match just for the simple reason that no one, I thought Onana played well, I thought Seamus was excellent, but I didn't think anyone like massively stood out. I thought Everton's level was good, and we'll come back onto that in a minute, but I thought it's the first game he's played for Everton since Man City beat us in the FA Cup quarter-final when Carlo was here. And to have that period of time between games and to come in at a ground which is difficult and their crowd was lively, to come in and look so calm and assured, I thought it was a really good performance by him. He didn't have tons to do, but I thought his kicking was good. I thought he was calm. And that's a big thing for a goalkeeper, I think. And, you know, he was on loan at Canberra last season, started the season off in the team and ended up out the team. I thought he did all right, and obviously was protected well by our defence. Ped, I mean, the level of performance last night, I think, was a positive. We saw a really poor performance at Wolves, and we've gone through that and why we think that might have happened or whatever. And it was a bad day at the office, it literally was at Molineux. But I thought the levels were much better last night, without it being amazing, obviously.
Yeah, we were on it straight away, and I thought the defence looked really, really comfortable. Onana, flip-flops. Honestly, he just looked like he looked like he was in second gear and controlling that midfield. Garner did well, and it was just everything ahead of that, really, because of the disjointedness of how we were playing. Jack Harrison in the central position, you know, never really dominated that area. If you look at his heat map for the game, he's more drifting over to the right-hand side, funny enough. McNeil only sort of come into the game when he went back onto the left. Danjuma done well early on, but then drifted out of the game. Yeah. So it was in the final third, and Dom not getting any service and not really making anything for himself, bar one chance in the second half. So it is the final third where we do look disjointed, and I was having a little look at the heat maps afterwards, and the space around the box, just nobody taking, no one going into it, no one, like, where Decore would take up, but Jack Harrison is drifting over, James Garner isn't moving into that area, and certainly Jack Harrison didn't move into that area, and that's what we've been missing the last few games, is somebody coming in behind Dominic Calvert-Lewin or occupying the space.
Should Harrison and McNeil have switched then? Because he started with Dwight McNeil off the right, didn't he? And he's never, I don't think he plays very well there. Should they have maybe switched?
He obviously believes Harrison is more suited to it. I don't know if you can just shoehorn someone into that position, because I think you have to have a natural tendency to want to score goals from a central area, and that's what Decore's got. And it's something we just don't have in the rest of the squad, unless you take a centre forward and you say, can you play deeper? But that space, it's so evident that nobody's making those late runs, those third man runs.
Do you know the reason why I think McNeil there sometimes, though, is because he has got a good dig on him, hasn't he? We saw him hit the post against Wolves at the weekend.
I think that's a different skill set, though. That's having the ball. I'm talking about playing without the ball and running into the box.
Decore, he makes quite explosive runs, doesn't he?
Think about, like, at West Ham, one long ball, Dom gets the flick on, and he's in and he has that first time shot. Not one of our players would have done that, is he? And the only player who actually did do it was Danjuma from the left-hand side when Harrison got him in the first half, and the goalie made the save. We don't have anyone who naturally wants to run past the centre forward, apart from Decore. And that must make it really hard for Dom as well. Because if you're not seeing anyone join up, when the ball's coming long, what do you do? Because you're looking to flick it on, you haven't got that runner. So you know you're going to have to try and play the way you're facing. And I think that makes Dom's job harder. And I know he's not in good form. And I know there's obviously confidence there. But he can't. What can he feed off? He can't feed off scraps. And he can't bring other players into the game as well. So it must be very difficult. And that's something that we have to look at. To try and bring into the squad if we haven't already got it, or we try and say, well, can Beto do that job when Dominic Calvert-Lewin's available? Is there a possibility? Is there somebody else, a younger player that we've already got in there that could maybe do that job? But I just don't think it's natural for anyone to run off the centre forward.
But there was a situation in the second half with that chance Dom had, and Danjuma's next to him, and you're thinking, right, go wider, take one of the centre backs with you. But instead, he sort of joins up with Dom. And both of them are trying to run into this space between the two centre halves, and it just closes Dom down so quickly. And that is the difference between having a natural in that position.
Yeah, absolutely. I've said it loads of times with Decore, and this is what I'd be looking for this month. Can we get someone on loan who you won't find that like for like, as in what Decore brings, but you might find someone who naturally
does similar jobs on the
pockets, runs beyond the striker, maybe has a different skill set. But I thought we did do Danjuma went past Klein as if he wasn't there quite a few times and tried to fist a few across the box, which we just didn't get on the end of. But then he did have two good opportunities. One got deflected wide. It was a good move. And another one where we play it in and Dom brings him into the game. And I thought he should have hit it with his right foot into the other corner, let it run onto his left. And then the keeper does make a good save from it. But at least we were showing in that area, we were getting in, and that gave me some hope in the first half that we might nick a goal, because we were in control. They were doing very little, you know. They done very little in the first half. They had a Lerma shot which fizzed over. Other than that, they done nothing. We had Eze diving, getting booked. He just couldn't really get into it. So we were in control. And I did think on the counter, we looked at, and particularly through Danjuma, we did look like we'd caused them an issue. We had a James Garner shot which got blocked as well, which looked like it was travelling.
Yeah, it was always going to be difficult making chances against Palace, because they do play quite defensively. You know, they have the back four, the full backs aren't too attacking, and then they have Lerma, who's, you know, he's a midfield destroyer, and Richards, who's a centre back really. So you know, they have those numbers defensively.
Yeah.
And we did get a few chances, and the Danjuma one for me was the real one where you think you've made the wrong choice there, and that could be our best chance of the game now.
The one Whitty, the keeper saved.
Yeah,
because as Dom rolls it, it's almost ready for him to just play the other corner with the right foot.
Yeah,
and once it goes onto the left, which is mad because he's right-footed. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, God, no, that was the main one for me, where I think that was a very good chance, and you could have made the better choice there. But look, overall, we had, I'd say, a promising game. Danjuma, I think, with McNeil's injury as well, he's one we're going to potentially need. There was a lot of noise about him potentially going back to Villarreal. I think we'll keep him now because we have to, but we may need to look at another player as well who can potentially play those positions. But it was promising from him. He's getting in the positions, which is the first step. The second step's making the right choice in those positions, but I'm sure he'll be told that.
Yeah, I mean, we come out for the second half. Thought they were a bit brighter second half. They had to work a little bit hard. They still didn't create anything, but I thought they got a bit more control of it than what they had in the first half. But we still had moments. I mean, Danjuma had another chance in the second half, which he takes with his right foot, but hits it straight at the goalkeeper when him and I think Dom created again.
It was actually a really good chance, that.
It was a good opportunity. Again, that's where he should be going across the keeper, and he hits it straight at him, and they'd only really huffed and puffed Palace up until that point. And I'll be honest, I was wanting, Dom was kind of like, his involvement in the game was getting less and less, mainly because he was isolated. And I'm thinking, bring better one. So either go and give him some help up front, or go like for like and try to get them on the run, because we'd had a couple where Coleman had tried to bend it into Dom in the first half, and one had worked, one he over it, and then we had one in the second half. Again, I think it's James Garner this time, plays that angle ball through, and we almost get in, and you're like, that's the way we can turn these. But Dom really only had the one, and I don't think if I was Dom now, I'd play with my hair out, because the one when he ran through and the hair was flowing,
let it flow.
It just looked so much better. He looked more powerful, like the way Lukaku had the long hair.
Let it flow.
I thought he should have done better with that chance. He shrugs the lad, and you're thinking, just hit through it. Does it? I don't know whether it nicks the defender and takes the sting out of it, but I think if he's a bit more confident and scoring, he takes that a bit earlier with a bit more conviction, but didn't look totally in like he believed he was going to score.
No, I think by the time he'd actually set himself up for the shot, the keeper had a good read on him as well. If he'd been able to maybe take it more centrally earlier and then be able to come back, and then he can potentially...
Because he made a good run, didn't he?
It was a good run, but then does he leave it a little bit too long to hit it? Because the keeper's positions well, because he knows where the ball's going at that point, and it's just that with Dom at the moment, isn't it? We're just lacking that little bit extra, and I think that's that little bit extra you get or lose from confidence.
Well, let's talk about Dominic Calvert-Lewin, because there's a lot of people, or some people, not a lot of people, some people do criticise him seemingly no matter what he does. Others question him when he misses opportunities. I think there's nothing wrong with that. You were looking for a more clinical performances from him. I think his all-round performance is decent. Some games, I do think lately, I don't know whether it's just that run of playing a lot of games again, and he hasn't had this really. You know, the last couple of years he's played half fit, and I think now he's playing a lot of games, but I just think he's dropped a little bit. I think the goal probably looks about this big at the minute. we don't create loads of opportunities for him. So it's not like last night he's had 5 or 6 chances and he's missed them all. He had a header in the first half, which he headed to, if you can head it too well, it needed to skin off his head a little bit. And then he had that opportunity in the second half. But we don't, I mean, Pedro, you've already said it, we don't get enough people round him. No. So I don't know what he's supposed to do with long balls. You can't control it on your head and and he's not a, for everything that Dominic Calvert-Lewin is, he's not a striker who makes his own chances. No. He's not, you know, like an Ollie Watkins type player. And at the moment, the conversion rate, he's got the second worst conversion rate after Darwin Núñez for opportunities missed. So, is it all that, Ped? Do we just simply not create good enough opportunities for him at the minute? And is it also because we just isolate him? Is that contributing to why right now he's not playing well?
He doesn't get chances. He gets very few chances in a game. And he
but some would argue that Wolves at 1-0 he should have scored, that City at 2-1
he's not cold enough either. That's the other side of it. I actually think he's not aggressive enough, which is the irony of last night. I don't think he's aggressive enough in his play. I think when we saw him last year when he came back and we went to Brighton, how aggressive he was, how he wanted to take people on it, almost like he wanted to embarrass them a little bit by doing his little spin trick and all that. He doesn't have that snarling nature, which I actually think you need to have as a centre forward to protect yourself, to put yourself about a little bit. That's not there. He's a pussycat far too often. And I think that takes away. He's never going to be a player who scores loads of goals. He's never going to be a 1 and 2 striker. 2-1 would be amazing, wouldn't it? He's never going to be a 1 and 2 striker. And he does go on runs. He runs hot and cold. I think what has been a little bit the last few games is is he massively contributing if he's not scored? And I don't really think he has been. No. He's been leading the line, but he just has to give a little bit more of himself. And I think that's where the aggression part comes in. Like, get yourself into the game.
Like Beto is aggressive, isn't he?
Yeah, because
he's not as refined as Dom, but he's aggressive.
He's not, and actually that's what people like. Yeah. People like that side because it makes it seem like you're working harder than you are.
Yeah.
Whereas Dom can spend a lot of time on his own, just dealing with long balls and knockdowns, and that's not sexy, is it? That's not what people want to see. Do you want to see people get involved and pick up the ball and run? And even if they lose it in their own half, they're applauded, which I think is mad because you've just lost it in your own half. You should never lose it in your own half. Dom needs to Corey up with them to get the best out of both. To get the best out of both of them and bring them both into the game. And when there's not that player there, I mean, look at it last night. What are we doing with them? What are we doing with any striker that's up there? We're just going long, and then we're expecting them to control it, get it down, and then
to beat three
men,
or to keep it for like 10 seconds while you're getting.
As I said, if you look last night, if you look at the heat maps, there's no one near them. There's no one around them. The crossing's not brilliant. No. We had a few opportunities first half, especially from the left, and the crossing was going over their head.
One in the second half, and my dad's like normally quite calm with it, but McNeil just hit like some ball in from about fourth, and he was like, what do you expect him to do with that? It was like a cross almost at the edge of the box. Yeah. It's like, what do you want him to do? Edit what? And it flies into the top corner. It's just the service isn't good enough. I know. There'll be people who will go, he's not doing this and he's not scoring. And I get all that and I'm not defending it. But we aren't creating good opportunities for him. I'll be the fair. I scrutinise strikers more than any other player.
How many times do we get to the byline and whip it in with pace? And that's where he got all his goals under Carlo. When people were getting to the byline and they're pulling it back, and whether it's in the air or whether it's on the floor, and he's getting his tap-ins, and we do not provide that service. No. Is he a top-class striker? No, he's probably not. But just before the last Euros, he was the backup for Harry Kane, who's regarded as one of the best strikers in the world. And will he ever get back to that level? We don't know, because he's had 2 years out, and that's a lot of development. And that's a lot of time in his own head as well, having to deal with those injuries.
And scoring goals. You want that
and other people come in, and then you're doubting yourself, and maybe you're doubting your own body and all that kind of thing. But I've witnessed those last 2 years, and it's like people have been Men in Black, isn't it? Or had a conversation with Roberto Martinez, one of the two. And I've suddenly just completely forgotten how bad it was like when he was not there. Now we've got competition. Now we can say, if you're not on it, Beto comes in. And actually, I was surprised last night that Beto didn't come in, just because of the FA Cup, a good opportunity. And but let's not do that thing that some of our fans love to do, or all of us love to do it now and again, it's just like write people off. He's not going through a great time at the moment. And maybe, who knows, perversely, what happened last night might be the thing of like the spark that gets him going again, and people go, no, God, we're missing Dom for 3 games. And it should be a case of that's awful. And maybe that's the thing where people go, no, this fella is our number 9, and we should all get round them and support him in this moment. And maybe that might be the spark. I'll come back, I'll prove it to everybody that I'm a good player.
Yeah, I feel bad for him, to be honest, especially when we know what he's been through over the last few years, and he'll be as frustrated as all of us that he's missing these chances. I don't feel like he misses sitters, and often I think he misses good chances that he should take the majority of, but I think they just come so few and far between. He'll have 1 or 2 a game spread out over a period, and I think not being involved in games probably doesn't do him that much good for those chances. He's not getting a feel of the ball and just getting confident on it, especially for a player who's had long periods out. You know, maybe if he was just slightly more involved in the game and getting a bit more comfortable on the ball, a little bit more conviction behind what he does, a little bit more just confidence.
I think last night we were into the second half of the game. He had 5 touches. Well, what can you do as a centre forward if you've had 5 touches?
See, I was after he just had that chance, I was wanting to be taken off because I knew the manager wasn't really going to go with the 2 of them. So I was thinking, get better one, and we need a little bit of chaos up there now for better. And I don't think Beto's been given enough chances personally, but I just felt last night after that Dom was a little bit like give the other felt same as if Beto would have had 70 minutes and hasn't been really in it. I'd be saying, like, get Dom on now. Let's see if we can stretch them a little bit. And obviously we know what happened after it, and it was a joke, really. You know, the ball's knocked up to him, and he actually does really well because he's up with 2 centre-backs. He wins the header and it drops down. He goes after the ball and slides. He has to put his leg up to try and scoop it because you can't, he's never going to slide like that because that's dangerous.
It's impossible.
So he's gone to try and drag the ball, which is what you're doing. And as he does that, Klein comes across him, brushes off Nathaniel Klein, but gets the ball. Put it this way, Dom did everything he planned to do. Slid, scooped the ball back, got up with the ball, should have played Danjuma in, he was wide open, didn't, he hesitated, and then we move it wide, and I think we got a corner off it, the referee gave. The referee's in a great position, sees this, plays on, no one's complaining, game goes like that, and we get a corner. It's like can we do something off this? And then you go, there's going to be a check here, VAR, a check in that challenge, and you're like, what? And then, like Sean Dyche says, once they go, he's going to the screen. You know,
once he said they were checking, and I knew he was getting up, he was going to get sent off.
So you know what's happening, don't you? You know what happens, and I've got to say, it's one of the worst I've ever seen in terms of a red card, because you ask yourself the questions, don't you? Was he endangering an opponent?
No.
Was it a full force straight leg challenge?
No.
Was he out of control?
No.
Was there a big kick-off because players know if there's a challenge that's naughty and they have to get involved? No. And when you know with all of them, you shouldn't really go to the next point. Then, was he endangering an opponent? No, should be the end of it.
Yeah.
Well, and you shouldn't keep getting no's. It's like that thing where if it's yes, go to question 4. The minute it's no, it should be over.
I think the 2 are, has he hurt the player and is he in control? And those, past that, nothing matters.
But Klein did say he hurt him, didn't he?
No, Klein's a prick, right? Going down. No, he is, though, going down like that. You know, you've got to say it as it is, haven't you? Players throwing themselves around on the ground, it's not helping the game in any way whatsoever.
And they'll be on the end of something like that.
And yet players don't get the decisions when they don't throw themselves on the ground. So whose fault's that? Who's created that situation? But ultimately, if he'd gone in and he was out of control and he hadn't touched him, then I could understand why you send him off, because it's one of them where you've jumped in 2-footed and the person just got out the way and you still got to send them off.
Play.
There was none of that. He was in total control. He's won the ball. He's done exactly what he meant to do. Scoop the ball, take it and play on. It literally is one of the worst I've ever seen. And it made me feel so disheartened about the game afterwards. You know, anyone who watched my match reaction, it made me feel like, what is the point anymore? And those kind of situations are becoming more and more prevalent in the game where football fans ask them. It's not, and by the way, that's not a, oh, we've been hard done by, gotta hate football. That is an actual realisation of the way the game is going. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. And the other one was the realisation that everybody knows it's not a red card. Everybody knows. And I know now that Everton have put, that they've put an appeal in. But it's that idea of everyone knowing, and yet you're still getting a 3-game suspension. Like the old days when there wasn't no VAR and they go, well, what do you want us to do? I've sent them off. I didn't know. I didn't have a screen. Yeah. You do have a screen now. And some fella you told you to go over. You go over and you bottled it. You bottled it as a referee. Forget about the fella in the room. He doesn't know. He's a disgrace. He hasn't got the feel of the game. Huh? He doesn't know what's going on.
He's not on the grass.
But also as a referee, you're 5 yards away.
Outfit on though.
You're 5 yards away. You're looking directly at it. The same as the one at Spurs.
Same as the Man City penalty.
It's like you're looking straight at it. Why have we got Why are we in a situation where we're going to referees? No, that thing you've just seen dead clearly. It's not what you saw. Come on.
Howard Webb come on, Jack will touch on this now. Howard Webb come out and said, we're going to help referees. We're going to help them. We're not going to referee the game for them.
Referee.
Again, I've said it a lot of times. I've got an issue with people turning up to an office block and putting the referee's outfit on with cards in the pocket and sitting in the room and making decisions.
Put it this way, if you were cooking a meal in your house, would you put a chef's uniform on? A chef hat on that?
Well, some people would, but I personally wouldn't know. And I wouldn't watch the match and put a full Everton kit on and sit there like I'm playing, but that's what referees
It's like Jack putting a suit on to play Football Manager.
Yeah. Do for the cup final.
Yeah,
cup final alone.
That's slightly different.
But you're talking about like disheartening. We're already getting that from goals. When a goal's scored now, the days of that celebration, because the first thing you do is check the line. If he hasn't got a flag up, celebrate like man. Now, I sit there and go, just wait and see if anything happens. Like City, we scored against Man City, and because Rodri was cry-arsing, I was like, I ain't celebrating this, mate, till we kick back off, because I know if they can, they'll disallow it. And that's where the game's gone. And now what we're seeing is tackles that referee. You see, the biggest issue for me with this, loads of clubs have probably had it. I'm not really bothered. This is about Everton right now. 3 of the last 4 games, we've had VAR change decisions that a referee has seen in real time and has given a decision for. So Tottenham away, the referee gives a decision that Andre Gomez wins a tackle with Emerson Royal. The liner is stood on the other side. The pair of them couldn't be better placed if you hand-picked them and put them.
They've both got the perfect angle.
Neither of them give a decision other than an Everton goal. And who knows, that might have changed Dominic Calvert-Lewin's season. Gets a goal, we're back in it, blah-de-blah, right? Man City, the referee gives a corner. Now, okay, in that game, my initial thought as a fan in the ground was that might be handball, because I seen the City players, and like I've said, and this comes back onto last night, players react to what's around them. Right? But the referee's seen it and give a corner. And when you watch it again, you can see there's no intent from Amadou Onana to handball. He's merely blocking his face. Right? That got overturned. They got a penalty. And we've seen this last night. That's 3 huge decisions. I could cry arse about the fact that VAR should have got involved at Tottenham with Amadou Onana and given Everton a penalty, but they ignored that. I could have moaned about stuff. Exactly. I could have moaned about stuff last night with Beto when VAR took 1 second to say it wasn't a penalty, even though when you slow it down, it's more of a penalty than that's a red card. And yet, what we're seeing now is VAR getting involved, slowing everything down, even for decisions referees have given, and going, you got that wrong. That's a red card. Now, Jack, I mean, where are we? Because that, to me, that's 3 huge decisions in 4 games that have affected Everton in a negative way. And lots of other clubs will have it, but I just don't know where we are now, because once you start saying to a referee who's got a great view, is in the feel of the game, to quote Sean, it's going on around him, he can see it in real time, he can see the impact, he can see how people react, doesn't give anything. How can a fella who, once again, has put on a reps outfit, put cards in his pocket to go to an office block?
I don't know if he's got cards in his
They
pocket.
do. They have them all. They have them all.
He's got his flag as well.
I don't know whether you've got the flags, but they've definitely got that.
Got the magic
I don't know.
spray.
They've probably got a buzzer. Believe it.
Disappearing spray.
That's it. Has got. I mean, it makes me feel massively uncomfortable. That, and I worry about their character.
Wear boots.
I think they do. No, they wear the Astro thing. So they've got the feel of it, right?
Saves washing your own gear though, doesn't it? To be fair.
But some fella miles away is telling a referee what's gone on in a game that the referee's seen, judged, given, and played on it. So, what's going on?
Well, the other worrying thing is as well that all the situations you've just mentioned, the decision last night, the Tottenham decision, the Man City decision, other than the City decision, which I think the linesman give, the Gomez foul and Calvert-Lewin last night, both referees didn't pick up on either of them. Didn't give a foul either, especially last night with what we're being told as a red card offence. It wasn't given immediately. So even if in some strange world out there this is a red card, how is your Premier League referee not seen a red card offence as a foul?
Right in front of him.
Right in front of him. So either way, one of them's wrong.
And the other side of it is as well, he's not there. So does he take into consideration the fact that it absolutely pissed down? And the ground is wet, and you're sliding and your momentum. He's not there to judge all that, where a referee really is there to understand that and take that in consideration.
Direction.
Exactly.
And that's probably what they mean when they say feel of the game, isn't
that's
it?
And if you know when you play Sunday League, whether you play for the school, whatever, if someone puts a bad tackle in, there's a reaction from teammates. There's no reaction.
There was a lad standing next to him going, that wasn't a red card.
Not a red card.
No reaction.
It's not even just about reaction, no, Baz. It's just general football and context that anyone who's kicked the ball for more than 2 minutes will understand is, no, he's not going in to hurt him, so it removes the intent of harm. He's scooping it. And he could make that same movement and have the exact same contact with Klein without sliding. If he was closer to him, he's doing the same ball scooping motion, trying to control it. He'd still hit him with his stud, but there's an obsession around, players on the floor and his studs up. There's an obsession with that in refereeing.
There is. And the other side of it is, if he'd hurt him, he would have hurt him. Wouldn't it? If he'd hurt him, he would have hurt him. And that's, again, the thing that is just mad to me, is this idea of dangerous play. Well, it wasn't dangerous play because you didn't hurt him. Like, don't get me wrong, if you're out of control and you do a two-footer, I get that. And someone just jumps out the way, I can get that. But this idea of hating somebody, it's the same when the flip was, when Son done it to Gomez, and we went, well, you did hate him, so you did deserve a red card.
And he jumped through the air.
You jumped through the air, you've caught him, you knew what you were doing, you were angry, and people went, you can't punish people because he broke someone's leg. It's like, well, you can, if that was the...
There was intent. Yeah, the cop because he didn't get a decision.
This is the reverse of that, where it's like, well, there isn't an intent. He was trying to win the ball. He's won the ball. He's caught the sock. He's literally caught his sock, and you think that's a red. You think that's a red card. And again, that's where refs don't understand. Never played the game. Keep on going about it. Ex plays all that. They come back to the studio. The ex players in the studio were like, not on any planet.
Yeah.
Don't even.
Keep watching.
They're not even trying to be controversial. They're just being like, what are you talking?
And the other thing is, I mean, there's a video, brilliant video that's gone out showing the Everton players watching it with the referee, and like Seamus Coleman, you can see him, it's just like that, it's never, and they're all saying the lines and stands in front, go away, don't, you know, we might start crying if you say something to him, because they're embarrassing officials. But the thing about it is, I've seen worse tackles in Zach's games, and that's like kids level, and what I mean is, those challenges, not just the referee didn't give anything. That he's gone in, slid, won the ball, scooped the ball back. He hasn't jumped. If Dom had gone like that straight into him, I'd be going, it's a red card, mate. Yeah. It's a red card. There's a video going around on social media of all the challenges to Everton players in the last few years. Some horrific, Van Dijk, horrific. There's Mings on Dominic Calvert-Lewin's knee, horrific.
Ayew on Gordon.
Ayew right in front of the dugout. That is a two-footed jump into Anthony Gordon. But it was a red card. There's loads of them. Loads of them. Are all 100 times worse than the Dominic Calvert-Lewin one. None of them received.
I think the most of and you look at like a video like that, and what you see is people being out of control, and that's whether they're out of control like in their heads and out of control on the pitch as well.
Yeah,
that's the point, isn't it?
But we're not. We've sat here when players have had red cards for Everton, and we've gone deserved it. Like Mason Holgate against Spurs, that same game when Richarlison, we got robbed again. Well, what a surprise by VAR. Now, years ago, Holgate wouldn't have been a red card because the lad hit the ball first, but he cleared the ball and then went straight through. And you look and you go. Rondon below me was a red card. Alan, I can understand why. You can argue it and go, should be in yellow, but I looked at that and was like, I can understand why he gave it. I didn't like it. I still think he was just trying to stop St. Maxim, but he did kind of leave the floor.
Out of control.
So he was out of control. So he was
Yeah.
This last night is a slide. So we're saying now slide tackling it is illegal. Basically,
If you make any contact, it's illegal. That must be the rule.
And
Okay, so let's say it then.
And then what they say, how they justify it is, they say, well, and this is how the justifying works, it's well, his studs he was showing his studs. And that's the justification for it, though. It's like, well,
so if
it was wet last night. What if he'd only had mouldies on? So
but if I slide to you, if I slide into you, how do I slide along the floor without showing?
You have your feet planted like that.
So that's what I'm saying. They twist the words. They twist the words. They take little words that they want to take and use. But the most important one, I can't reiterate this enough. It has to be control. If you're fully in control, well, he is because he took the ball.
He slid. The other key thing is he slid to a destination. Got up and run with the ball. Yeah. He didn't carry on sliding, chase the ball because he'd gone through the man. He slid, scooped it up, stood up where he was and went forward.
It's not one where, the ball's been between both of them. They've went in for the 50-50 duel. He's got the ball, but he's followed through and smashed them good and proper as well. He's went in, Kleins came from another angle.
I'm saying,
he hasn't.
That's
not been the case.
No,
he's slid in, he's controlled it. He's controlled it very well, considering he's on the floor. Kleins come in from another angle, and one of his studs has grazed his shin pad.
It's like I've said, right? In most cases, when you go in for that kind of challenge or any kind of tackle, there will be contact.
Contact sport.
I said to you, Jack, on the live before, there was a challenge that Tarkovsky made last week against Alvarez. Right? It was about 5 times worse than that last night, but he still won the ball. He went in and won the ball, and a bit of momentum took him into Alvarez, but he got the ball. And everyone went, it's a great tackle. I heard a couple of people going, they're checking it. Right? And whoever checked it on the VAR that night must have gone, well, he's fully won the ball. He's just got... Yeah. Well, last night was way less than that. Dom protected the ball and is red carded, and then I see other tackles in games and you go...
Tarky's last night was worse. Well, he just took the kid out and went to the box. He just took him out. He just took the kid out and then went...
He put it over,
And then he put it, and then he got the free.
Within the context of a tackle, he didn't hurt him, but within the context of a tackle...
But he knew what he was doing.
He got nowhere near the ball.
There was more physical contact.
Exactly, there wasn't nowhere near the ball.
The intent was to take the kid out.
He just took the lad, so you're looking and going, well, hang on, where are we then? Where are we? Because... If I go like that, then obviously I can't scoop a ball by keeping my foot on the floor. No. So I've got to go in and drag the ball. So my leg invariably is going to come up while I try to drag it. If you run...
Which will in turn show your studs. So are you not allowed to control a ball like
then
that?
Then it needs a rule change.
Then boot off.
Exactly, yeah. Then we need a rule change, don't we?
No, it's nonsense.
We need a rule change to say you can't slide unless the player's nowhere near. You can slide to keep it in, but it can't have a player near in order to foul. This is where we are, though. But this is where we are.
The other thing is that it's been appealed, and if there's any common sense in the world, it'll be overturned.
Well, how will they overturn it, right? And the only reason I've got a bit of hope is the Sun one, which was given a yellow card in the game. They told him it was a red, so he then sent him off, and then the next day he rescinded it. Because he's not that type of player.
Yeah, he's not that type of player.
Dom's not that type of player.
And he cried.
And he cried, and then he gave it the sorry when he thinks. So as Dom scores, he can go like that, sorry, can't he?
And that always seems to be the hardest way.
Elton John said it, and then Blue followed it up, so it must be. You know what I mean?
But what should see it overturned is the fact it doesn't actually meet any red card criteria.
Well, this is Everton. One thing I've heard as well is it, but my issue is, you said it before. If we've either got a huge mistake from an on-field official who can see it in real time. That's a huge mistake. You didn't know that was a red. No, mate, because it wasn't a red. And all he had to say was it wasn't a red. He should have said to VAR, I'm in the game. There was no contact, really. I seen it live. No player. I'm happy with my decision. Would never have ever been discussed, mate. They'd have gone, ITV4 would have gone back and gone, oh, VAR looked at this, but Chris Cabanas, and they would have gone, no, it's not a red.
Do you think, though, now there is a case, though, of referees, number one, going, well, I have to go and look at it, because if I don't, and it actually does turn out to be a really bad decision, and I have missed something, because they're replaying in their own head, and maybe then their own head's getting it wrong.
Yeah.
So they go and check it, and then when they go and check it, for that reason, they go, well, I'm here now, so I probably have to do...
You can't do that.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
But they are, it seems like they are.
Is that now very much just a thing where they're all worrying about all the other elements of the
Sean
game?
Dyche says it though every time. Why did he go to the monitor? Because they never change it. Yeah. We all know once they go to the monitor, it's the decision. At Spurs, I'm sure John was in the ground. I'm sure when everyone went to checking it on VAR and the ref goes to the monitor, I bet you every Evertonian won't give it. It'll be ruled out. Because the minute they don't go and then give you they just don't, do they? Man City, the minute he come below me, I knew what was coming. Yeah. Giving a pen. And you know it. Even if he goes, no, he's protecting his face. That's not a penalty. They'll be going, it's a penalty. The letter of the law, remember, is it's hit his arm.
But that's what I don't understand. What's the power dynamic here? Because he's meant to be the match official, and
Howard, this was back to the Howard
Webb come in and said, if you're going to leave it to the officials, we're just going to help them. But then VAR, no, we advise you to look at the screen. So, okay, they're advised them, they've seen an angle of it, but then he's at the screen there saying, yes, see, it's a penalty, and they have to tell him the letter of the law. He knows the law himself. He does the same job.
How many times did they show us what he was getting, what he was viewing last night? We got the same pictures he was getting. They must have shown it 30 times before he made the decision.
Yeah.
So if you have to look at something 30 times before you go, okay, I agree, it's a red, that's a joke.
I wouldn't show someone something 30 times. I wasn't trying to convince them something about that they hadn't seen already. Exactly. So that leads me to believe Stockley Park are the bosses in this dynamic.
So come out and say it then.
But
come
I thought the referee, the on-field
VAR referee the games, and the ref is there to just keep the game going. Any big decisions we make with our kit on, again, in an office block, with our kit on, which is weird, we make the decisions from 100 miles away, and all he's there to do is give throw-ins and corners and just keep
and the cards out.
And then we'll go, okay, we all know where we stand then. So they're going to... But then that's fine, and I'll even accept that if then they give Amadou Onana a penalty at Tottenham, because the ref never seen it and his shirt's getting ragged off. Well, okay, we're refereeing it, it's a penalty. It's like the thing, you know, where the ref blows the whistle. Done it last night, Everton have a corner. He blows the whistle. Yeah. Doesn't speak to James Garner, who is getting shoved by the defender. Speaks to the defender. He's carrying on, shoving him. The ref goes like that. The easiest thing to do, let the corner come and blow your whistle, go penalty. I told you before he kicked it, if you shove him again, it's a penalty. They don't. They done it the other week. What game is it at home? They stopped the game about 3 times. Like Chelsea or Newcastle. Yeah. The ref stopped the game 3 times to have a go at Newcastle, it was, to have a go at their defender because he was pushing Taki. Well, you know, if you have to stop it more than once, it's a penalty then, mate.
It's when Joe Linton was like...
Joe Linton was shoving and grabbing. Well, it's a penalty, because I've told you to stop and you've just ignored it. So that's a pen. Where at Tottenham, at Brighton, the minute Kulusevski grabs... Is it Joe Pedro? Whoever he grabs...
It's Pedro, yeah.
It's a penalty. Stockley Park, that's a penalty. Well, why wasn't it a penalty 4 days ago, mate? With the same player? Do you know what I mean? Either do it all or do none of it. But I thought the whole thing when they come in, it was going to be to aid the referee, like you say. And this is why I think AI offsides have got to come in immediately, help the officials get that, and we have to make a decision right now. I mean, Ped, is that I've seen a lot of people calling for it to be paused at the moment, VAR, till he get a grip of it. I don't see that happening. But how do we move forward, do you think?
I don't know, because I just think I think we're obsessed with VAR when it is just terrible referees. I think we let VAR, this word VAR, take over.
Which is essentially just a replay, isn't it?
It's just a replay. There's terrible officials. So I don't know, how does it make any better if you take this away from it? I understand from a point of view of, like you said, celebrating goals and all that kind of thing. You don't have to worry about that, or you don't have to worry about the game being re-reffed. But I just, to me, it is really poor officials. It's really poor officials who can't keep up with the game. The laws.
Who was it that said, this is the only, is it the Zerbi?
Yeah, I think so.
Said the other week, this is the only country in the world that has an issue with VAR.
And also we manipulate the laws to be different here as well, which is what we've always done. That's one for Europe. This is one for the Premier. How can that be a case? How can you have different rules and then always go back and blame? We've got all this nonsense to PGML and all this nonsense. We've got rules that don't
Shouldn't even know them, should we? Really?
No.
We
We've got
shouldn't even
rules
know
that don't make any sense. The handball rule doesn't make any sense. You've got all kind. Oh, it's the rule. Oh, it's the rule. It's the rule. Stop being shitbags and let them work with common sense and let them go. This pitch is soaking wet, and he slid and he's knocked into him. Well, it's not a foul because there was no intent, and actually the lack of control come because he hit a skiddy bit on the pitch or something. But there's none of that. It's all, well, this is what it says in the rules, and I do think the VAR is an easy thing. Get out for it all.
Bad decision making.
When it is the human beings, because go back to the Liverpool one against Spurs. It was a human being.
Error, yeah.
It was a human being, not going, what are we actually checking for here, by the way? Is it offside or is it not offside? I don't know what I'm checking for. And no one saying to him, is that a goal or not a goal? It's human error. It's all processes. So we allow this thing. And the other thing about it is, if it was used differently, no slow-mos. Slow-mos are bollocks. I could do that to him. And if you sped it up, suddenly it looks like I'm punching him in the arm, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
You see me move backwards in slow motion, you see my eyes widen.
And the other, so you've got that as well. And I also think there should be time limit. Why are we looking for things? Why are we looking to disallow goals?
Spend
why
so long looking to disallow
Why are we
goals?
looking at an offence like that last night and going, I better check this from six different angles, when if you can't see it on that first one, or at least that second one, okay, you might see something from the front and not get the depth perception. See it from the other side and suddenly you can see it. I'm going, better check that.
One of the angles ITV showed, and I don't know whether VAR had it, shows it perfectly, that Dom doesn't even really connect. There's a side on one. I don't know whether VAR had, because they have 3 angles, and that's it, which again blows my mind. They should have as many angles as they possibly can. And you could see it on ITV. And even Joby McAnuff was like, I'll watch it another 100 times and it won't be a red card.
No, it'll never be a
Ask 100 pros who've played the game, not one of them will tell you it's a red card. And how can you have people say, because normally you'd go, well, I can understand it in the
I don't agree with it, but I can see where they're coming from. You can't with this.
It is what it is. Off he went, 3-match ban. But Everton, Everton had 2 good opportunities after that. Beto, come on, did really well. Put a ball into James Garner. For me, should hit the target, blazes it over. It was a good chance. And then we have Jack Harrison had a shot as well, which I think he should hit the target with, really. And then João Virginia made 2 good saves. One from Ezzy, which he should save, which was right down his throat. But then the other one, don't know whether it's hitting the post or going wide, but he had to get down, he couldn't leave it.
He had to cover it,
and he tipped it down the post. And just very briefly, Ped, I thought he did really well last night, considering he doesn't play very often. He was quite calm.
Well, I actually thought tactically, because he's not an amazing passer of the ball, short passing the way, the way...
His long was all right, though.
His long was all right. I thought tactically that just let us settle down a little bit and go, you know what, lads, tonight we are just going to kick it straight out and we're not going to faff around at the back.
He was confident giving him it, though, weren't
No, I know, but I thought it was a game, especially with the conditions last night. It did, and because we'd lost the last 3 and gone out the cup as well, I think it was a game. It was like a bit of a no-nonsense. Let everyone settle down. Don't start the game off by giving it back to him, getting it back and creating angles. It was a bit like, let's be a little bit more pragmatic tonight. He was quite early on. He got down to a nothing shot, but you could see straight away he wanted to be involved. And I thought he was quite comfortable. And even physically, he doesn't look like the kid we once bought.
No.
He's a lad who's been around since, 2018, is he?
Marco brought him.
He's been around for a long time. He doesn't look like that kid. He looks like a big physical specimen now. So I thought he'd done really well. And that save late on really put the rubber stamp on that. And he had to take, from the shot from the side, it looked like it was going in. And then when it didn't go in, I thought, well, the keeper hasn't saved it, but he's turned it round. So
and then come and made the punch off the corner through a pack of players as well. I mean, Jack, all right, didn't he?
Yeah, said at the start he did what was asked of him. There was nothing groundbreaking, but it didn't need to be because he wasn't tested to that degree. I think, the one at the end, it probably was going wide, but every day of the week you'd rather you keep it covered.
I don't think he can leave it, can he?
No, absolutely not. So, and he still got to it and was far away from him, so he did well there. And I thought the one you mentioned, Pedro, he just got his hands on it very early on. I thought that probably did him good because he probably would have felt the pressure.
Stuck to it, didn't he?
First game for Everton, and however long it was,
there was even
bad conditions, and he just gets his hand on it straight away, and he just feels assured in the game then.
There was even one in the first half where Mateta's coming, and I'm thinking, come for it, and Coleman deals with it. when I watched it again, he made the right decision, because if he'd have come sliding, he'd have gone into Seamus, and then that might have made the break, you know, when Coleman dealt with it. Seamus Coleman back in the side last night. I thought he was excellent. Really, you know, without being, he's had better games, but I just thought he did.
I thought there was a lot more room for him in the first half, to be fair. I thought there was so much room for him.
He blazed over the cross, he should have done better.
But no, he was back at it and very assured.
And what we need them all fit, don't we? We need all our players.
Everybody helps.
And when he talks, people listen as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he looked ready to smash that Mateta's head in as well. And he was
also, when we went down to 10 men, you could see the look on his face. It's like, no one is scoring here. I am not letting that be the thing that knocks
And I thought the fans who were going down on a Thursday night, pissing down rain, noisy. And I think when that went against us, they were brilliant. They responded brilliantly. And I think that helped, that picked the players back up as well. Obviously, the negative side as well as Dwight McNeil. And he literally done it trying to jump out the way of Brantwaite, so he didn't land on Brantwaite off the corner. And let's hope it's just an ankle roll and it settles down.
When you're watching people's socks being cut off their legs, though, and then a leg brace, and almost someone as well putting something in front of him so you couldn't see what was going on. I was just pitching every scenario.
But the manager said he was okay in the dressing room afterwards.
Yeah, well, he said it's swollen, and the problem is when something's swollen is when the swelling goes down, you don't know what's going to come. And he got that pre-season, didn't he? At Stoke. So you just worry.
You'd imagine he's going to miss a couple of games at least, don't you? But listen,
hopefully that's all it is, because he's a very important player.
We might get really lucky. It might just be an ankle roll, which always, if your ankle goes like that straight away, and you think that's bad. Sometimes after 4 or 5 days, it settles, and you're like, it's a bit stiff, but it's all right. They'll know, won't they?
Check club badge, lucky. No.
Yeah, well, exactly, replay, obviously, another chance.
I didn't even think about a replay once last night, or any time in the week.
I'll be honest, because I'd read the thing that they were open to do away with it, and they do away with it from the 5th round. I was thinking, no, it's penalties.
It's not even entered my mind that this game could have gone to a replay, as in, like, I just think someone will win on the night, but it is, and typical, I don't think they play again till the replay.
No.
It could be
and
bad,
then it sort of cuts into our winter break.
But it's only 3 days after Villa in a way, so you can look at that 2 ways.
This is our winter break now. The next 10 days is our winter break.
Listen, it's an opportunity. It's a home game. It's an opportunity. We'll know who our opponents are as well, of course, when you're playing for that as well. So a bit more money if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah,
bit of positivity.
That's what everyone says about the replays, aren't they? It's good for the clubs that need the money. Normally, they speak about non-league teams, but now actually we could do with that as well. So, it's one of them. Palace weren't great last night, neither were we, but we had the better of the game, and you hope at Goodison, under the lights, as they say, we'll get the better of them and move into the next round.
And of course, it's going to be on more 4+1.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's the channel it's going to be on.
They'll be subscribing to that as well.
Dave.
Yeah, Dave had the chance to take the rights that he seen last night and thought he'd put an old Taskmaster on instead.
Fair play. Why wouldn't you get it back on UK Gold if it's a cracker like last night? Let's have a look at the stats for the game anyway to finish. Crystal Palace and 11-0. 11 shots to Palace, 13 to Everton, 3 on targets each, no big chances each. And there's our issue, 47%. I mean, that only really
that only kicked off
in the when they went.
We were up to 58 at one point. I was bottling myself. I was like, "What are you doing?"
Zach was giving me an update, and when Dom got sent off, it was 55-45 Everton. I was like, "We're in the wrong zone here." Hopefully that'll drop to 38, and we'll win.
Maybe that's why. Maybe you should play with 10 men more often.
Maybe. There you go. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Fair result. Was it a red card? And can Everton progress in the replay? Let us know.
And will Virginia play in the replay?
These are all the questions you need asking. Will it be a Davy for Mackenzie?
And what the hell were Palace wearing?
It was a belter kit. That was a limited edition kit, apparently.
Why?
It was a nice kit.
Hang on, it's for charity and you're making a limited edition. What are you doing?
They only printed 1,000 of the shirts. It's a nice kit, that.
Make 5,000 then.
Make them all. Make that their kit. It's a belter of a kit, that.
I know, it's nice, doesn't it? Yeah. It's your kit.
Yeah, it was.
There's kids crying because you've made limited edition kits. Think about that, eh?
Yeah.
Think
Steve
about that.
Parrish.
Simon Jordan.
Roy
Mark
Hodgson.
Bright.
Are we just naming any ex-Palace now, are we?
Yeah.
Lenny Lawrence, who's back in football. That's
Wilfred Zaha.
Wilf Zaha. Where are you now with your limited edition kit?
Team of the 80s, my arse.
Clive Allen. There you go. Let us know.
Fly Virgin. That's the sponsor.
I know, I remember it, yeah. Ian, like John Shalako. Full members. Anyway, we're going. Zenith Data is actually not full members. See you later.
John Scales.
Oh.